We're delivering.
Live from Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Sinead Aherne. Today's top stories. There are currently no plans to close public spaces and parks over coronavirus fears. A man in his 30s has died following a crash in County Waterford. And in sport, there's growing pressure for the 2020 Olympics in Tokyo to be postponed. Leo Varadkar suggested a full lockdown of the country will not be the most effective way to tackle the coronavirus. The government is to hold discussions with park operators today after large numbers of people gathered in public spaces over the weekend, including here in Waterford. Our political correspondent Sean Defoe reports.
There's been lots of criticism of people who flocked to parks and beaches over the weekend, with many not observing social distancing. After the feedback, the government, speaking to the National Parks and Wildlife Service, Cuilche, county councils and park operators to discuss what should be done, according to the Taoiseach Leo Varadkar.
I don't think we should be berating people about this, but we have asked the CMO and the National Public Health Emergency Team to examine that with the view to coming up with more recommendations.
There's no plan at the moment to shut public spaces and parks, and the Taoiseach has suggested that a full lockdown of the country might not even work.
If you have a very sharp lockdown and you reverse it, the virus might come roaring back, and what you need is a comprehensive strategy involving social restrictions, social distancing, testing, contact tracing and isolation of those who test positive.
The government is to get further advice tomorrow, but it's likely that further restrictions on public gatherings will be announced to avoid a repeat of the weekend.
A Waterford consultant is encouraging people to use common sense and to avoid crowded areas. Brian Creedon is National Clinical Lead for Palliative Care. He spoke to Damien Tiernan on Daisha today.
I'm not going to blame people. What I would say to people, we're here on a Monday morning, another Monday. While everybody may not want to understand the science or go into the science, we do know that physical distancing, which is the new term, or social distancing of keeping 2 metres from anybody else other than your close circle at home, works. It worked in Taiwan, it worked in China, it worked in South Korea, it worked in Singapore. And I know there's a lot of people who are doubting that, but we know that that works, we know that testing works, we know that contract tracing works, and these are all terms. But what each and every one of us as citizens of this state can do at the moment is practice physical or social distancing of 2 metres.
However, a Fianna Fáil councillor in Waterford is calling for the prom in Tramore to be closed. Eamon Quinlan says the scenes at many of Waterford's scenic areas over the weekend were disgraceful.
Given the staggering number of crowds and traffic jams over the weekend along the Tramore prom and other outdoor amenities, I am calling on the council to use its authority under health and safety legislation to close the promenade and any other area of consistent congregation. Moreover, anyone found breaching such restricted areas should face on-the-spot fines from Gardaí through their antisocial behaviour programme, otherwise known as ASBOs. Until this behaviour is stopped, all of us acting in a conscientious and compliant manner are simply wasting our time.
The Irish Farmers Association says the closure of McDonald's restaurants across the country is a huge blow for the beef industry. 1 in 5 hamburgers sold in McDonald's in Europe is of Irish origin, made at Dawn Meats in Carroll's Cross in Waterford. Management at the fast food chain say closing down is the only way to keep staff and customers safe during the pandemic. Marts will continue to stay open if farmers comply with government guidelines on social distancing. That's according to the CEO of Cork Marts, which Dungarvan is a part of. Sean O'Sullivan told Farmview's Kieran O'Connor that the Mart is no longer a day out.
We feel fortunate that we can continue to remain open in a limited way with very strict controls and protocols. Look, it is certainly not a case of business as usual. It is business most unusual, and we are trying to ensure that if we are very, very careful and if we get the full cooperation of everyone doing business with us, that we will be able to continue. That is our hope. We're really asking people not to come to the Mart unless they're either a calf seller, a cattle seller or a buyer. It's no longer a day out, no social event. If you have no business at the Mart, please don't come.
Bank of Ireland is to close 101 branches from tomorrow as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. It says it's seen a reduction of footfall in branches since it began spreading here. Dungarvan, the Quay in Waterford, Lisduggan and Tramore will remain open though. Shane Beattie reports.
Bank of Ireland is temporarily closing 101 branches from tomorrow while 161 will stay open. It's blaming a reduction in footfall and an increase in customers needing different supports. Staff from the closed branches will support larger branches and help call centres manage customers customers looking for mortgage and SME loan breaks. All branches will still operate an external ATM service. The closed branches include ones at universities, colleges and hospitals, which closed last week due to COVID-19, while branches at Cork and Dublin airports are also closed. AIB, meanwhile, has suspended the introduction of maintenance and transaction fees for customers who keep a minimum of €2,500 in their account every quarter.
A Waterford TD says vulnerable groups need to be remembered in the measures and initiatives being set up to tackle COVID-19. Mark O'Cosig used his maiden speech in the Dáil to highlight those left out of new legislation. He says the bill was a well thought out response to the crisis, but that not all children of the nation are represented in it.
I do not see workers on short-term visas here, many of whom are frontline healthcare workers who worry now about their legal status in this country, even as they combat the spread of the virus in our communities. I do not see undocumented workers here, people who through circumstance stand wide open to exploitation and risk. Without reassurances from government, these workers may not feel that they can present for treatment or that they can self-isolate from work. Without these reassurances, these vulnerable people may expose themselves to risk.
Deputy O'Cosig says some of the most vulnerable are not included.
I do not see our renters here, people worried about losing the roofs over their head. I do not see our homeless here, or our traveller population, or our prisoners, or those in direct provision. People who, by dint of circumstance, may not be able to practice social distancing or cocooning. These are some of the most vulnerable in our society. These are people I choose to understand in my interpretation of all the children of the nation. At a time of crisis, we must cherish these people too.
Every home in Waterford will receive a special information booklet about COVID-19 this week. The Frequently Asked Questions booklet will be posted out to homes for free by An Post. Waterford City Postman Anthony Penny-Horan says they're getting the booklets ready for distribution.
We got the booklets in today. We'll give them out each household around the country. Tomorrow, Wednesday, maybe even Thursday. Every household in the country will get a booklet, and it's from the government about COVID-19. So we got them in this morning, so they'll be put out to all the duties now. So like the postman, I'll just keep going as long as we can, and I just like say well done to all the postmen and Waterford, especially in our DSU. You know, they're doing a great job, and let's keep it going as long as we can.
Guardian Waterford carried out checks of 120 licensed premises over the weekend. All were found to be complying with the recommendations. Elsewhere, now investigations underway after a motorcyclist died in County Waterford yesterday. No one else was involved in the crash. The man in his 30s was killed when his motorbike hit a stone wall at Kilkenny Upper in the Nair Valley at around 20 to 12 yesterday morning. Gardaí and Dungarvan are appealing for anyone with information to come forward. They're particularly asking any road users who travelled in the area and may have dashcam footage to contact them on 058 486 00. 3 men in their 20s have been hospitalised after a stabbing in County Galway yesterday. Another man has been arrested, as Owen Murphy reports.
This assault took place at about 7 o'clock in the evening in the Brackerna area of Ballinasloe. All 3 men received stab wounds and were taken to Portiuncula Hospital nearby for treatment. 2 men remain in hospital, but their injuries are not life-threatening. A 20-year-old man has been arrested and is currently detained in Ballinasloe Garda station. Gardaí are appealing for witnesses to come forward, but they are not looking for anyone else in relation to the incident.
WLR Sport.
With Virgin Media Waterford. Virgin Mobile on a 30-day contract. Nothing hidden.
First to the Olympics, where there's growing pressure on the International Olympic Committee to postpone the 2020 Tokyo Games, which are due to begin on the 24th of July. The IOC says the decision should come within weeks, but Canada have pulled out of the Games, and athletes from Australia have been told to expect them to be postponed until next year due to the coronavirus pandemic. The Olympic Federation of Ireland also expects the Games to be rescheduled, while one of Ireland's leading Olympic medal hopes, Kelly Harrington, says a decision needs to be made as soon as possible.
I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. We've been sent our programmes, we've been sent everything that we need. I know we're on lockdown, but we're still doing our training in the house, out in the back garden. So we'll just keep going, keep moving forward. Hopefully there'll be a call on it, and I'll just make a decision then after that. But no decisions on turning professional yet or anything. Just have to wait and see what happens.
Republic of Ireland captain Seamus Coleman's donated €20,000 towards a fund to feed frontline workers in Ireland during the COVID-19 crisis. Coleman's pledge has seen Feed the Heroes surpass €300,000 in funding since it was set up last week. The fund goes towards buying and delivering meals to frontline workers, and Coleman also had this message for the younger people of Ireland.
They are saying that elderly people are being more affected by it, so I'd like to speak to the younger people, the younger generation. Stay indoors, do what's right. I know that if it was younger people dying from it more so, that older people would most certainly stay indoors. So I want us all to stick together at this time.
And in racing, there's a 7-race card at Naas this afternoon on the opening day of the flat racing season. The action gets underway in Kildare at 2. Sports news on WLR is thanks to Virgin Media Waterford.